Bill Gates recently said that Khan Academy is giving the world a view of the future of education. So tell me, what do you do? What do you think it is that you do that makes learning interesting and more productive?
You know, and I don't want to focus too much on all of the kind of the principles that Clay's been talking about for a long time. You can tell I'm a fan. But it's funny because when I started off, it was a huge blessing that at the time I did not know Bill Gates and that we did not have significant resources, that I was literally looking for the simplest, cheapest, fastest solution possible. And so what I think it did is it kept me from falling into the traps that a lot of folks had fallen into. The ideas here are not new. As soon as radio came out, people were like, oh, now we can put great lecturers on the radio. Obviously, TV, people thought about it. With the VCR, now it's on demand. It never quite happened. And I think that the thing that always kept happening is people like, oh, you know, if we're going to put lectures out there, it's going to reach millions of people. Let's put some resources behind it, and let's get a bunch of people in a room. They can write a script. We'll get James Earl Jones to read the script. Actually, it's actually seldom James Earl Jones. That would actually be quite nice, I think. But we get someone who's not James Earl Jones to read the script. We get some, and what they end up producing is this thing that looks polished, and it's like a lot of the learning materials we've all grown up with. It looks polished, but it really sounds like your GPS device. It's like, you know, the next step in photosynthesis is when the mitochondria connects, and there's no way that a human being actually connects with that. And what was, I guess, the discovery with me was people could tell, like, this is just some guy trying to talk to his cousins. And he's thinking out loud, he's thinking it through. The early handwriting was really messy, hard to read. But it was kind of the minimalist thing that got the job done. And actually focus on the things that mattered, focus on connecting with the users, focus on respecting the users, focus on the intuition. You know, it was inadvertent that the length was 10 minutes, but later all sorts of people have been throwing research at me showing, oh, that's how long people can pay attention. So I shouldn't talk too long. But so I guess the answer, just with the simplest possible and the cheapest possible tools for the simplest possible problem, it allowed me to go down a path that I think was not that intuitive had instead someone had come and, you know, given millions of dollars and say, make the best math videos you can make.
When you hear this is a classic disruptor, right? This is a classic example.
It absolutely is. In fact, what it reminds me is where I came up in my mind with this diagram of disruption. I was, as a doctoral student, in this Motel 6 on First Street in San Jose, and all the other guests were truckers, you know. And I was coming back from having dinner across the street at McDonald's, and I live in the low end, you know, and right in the middle of First Street, I came up with the, oh my gosh, this is what's happening. And the idea of just good enough came from playing where it is just good enough. And that's been a very useful insight.